Alright all, like the title suggests, in today's video I'm going to be showing you how to swap out or change out that motherboard. I'm going to be upgrading my system today from the Gigabyte B450M DS3h up to the Asus Prime X470 Pro. This is going to be a how-to, it's going to be a step-by-step guide to show you how to do it. Let me roll that intro and I'll be right back to show you how to swap out that motherboard if you want to upgrade. If you're new to the channel, you like tech, and you're on a tight budget, you've came to the right channel. Make sure you give me a thumbs up if you like this video, thumbs down if you don't like this video. The comment section below, I'll go through them every weekend on my live stream, Saturday morning, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time here in the U.S. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn that notification bell on, that way you're notified next time I put out a video, or I'll go live. Like I said in the intro, guys, today we're going to be swapping out motherboards, changing out motherboards, upgrading motherboards, however you want to look at it. This is almost like a new computer build almost. I ain't going to have to switch out my power supply or my hard drive. Everything else has got to come out of the system to be able to upgrade this motherboard. My NVMe hard drive, the CPU has to be changed out, the RAM's got to be switched out. You know, everything's got to come off the motherboard, go into the new motherboard to install the motherboard. This is a pretty big process. Like I said, it's almost like a new build. And it's going to take you some time to get it done. If you're new to the channel and you don't know what my system's made up of, I'm going to run down the specs here real quick for you. I'll run the Focus Design Focus G case. I'm running the AMD Ryzen 7 2700. I'm going to be switching out that Gigabyte B450M DS3h motherboard for the Asus Prime X470 Pro. I have the XFX RX 580 8GB video card. I have G.SKILL Ripjaws 5 32 GB RAM running at 3200 MHz. I have the CORSAIR RM650 650 watt power supply that's powering the whole system, which is fully modular. I have the Intel 660p M.2, which is an NVMe 1 TB hard drive, solid state drive. And I have a Western Digital 3 TB 7200 RPM spinning hard drive, however you want to say it. And we're going to be running the AMD Raspire LED cooler. It's the stock cooler that comes with the Ryzen 2700. That's the ports that make up my system. Now let's get into showing you how to get this motherboard changed out. Alright guys, to start this motherboard switch out, you got to take the side panels off the system, which every case varies a little bit on this, but this one here, you got 2 thumb screws on each panel. And you pull it back just a little bit, and the panel should come right off for you. Do the back side the other way, the same way. Take out the thumb screws, slides back just a wee little bit, and pulls right off, just like so. Alright guys, now since we got the side panels off, we're going to lay it on its side, with the internals being facing up. We're going to remove the GPU. Just take these 2 thumb screws out, just like so. Lay them to the side, and it's going to be a while before we need those again. Then you disconnect your power cable to your GPU. Most motherboards got a little clip back here that you have to push down on. Mine's actually missing, so I pulled the GPU out. There we go. I'm going to start disconnecting all your cables. There's my fan headers. There's my SATA port for my hard drive. There goes my 24 pin. Maybe, there we go. There's my CPU fan header, which I could probably leave out and plugged in until later, but I'm already unplugging stuff, so I'll unplug it. Then we're going to undo the 8 pin up here. There we go. Front port connectors here. I'm going to pull them up off. USB 3, got to disconnect that one. Got to disconnect the USB 2s. And we got to disconnect the audio cable. There we go. Alright, just the reverse of installing a motherboard. You got to take all the screws out of the motherboard here. And 5. We'll take them, lay them to the side. Okay, with all that being done, the motherboard should just grab hold by the heatsink and pull it up out. Make sure you take the I/O shield out. You need to keep that with the motherboard just in case you ever reuse the motherboard or you sell the motherboard or whatever. Now, since we got the motherboard out, we can remove the case. Set it over here on the floor. All right, guys, since you got the motherboard out, I just set it on top of the motherboard box for the new motherboard. I'm gonna remove the RAM. Just take these two clips here on the RAM sticks, push them to the side, pull them up out. There's one, there's two. Okay, now we have to take the heatsink off. So we need to unscrew the heatsink. I think that should be all of it. Give it a little twist, pull up on it. Right, that screw's still stuck a little bit. Okay, there we go. All right, now let's get the thermal compound off of that. Okay, to clean that thermal compound off, I'm going to take me an alcohol wipe here. You can use paper towels and regular alcohol if you don't have the alcohol wipes. Now we're going to do the thermal paste on the CPU. Get it cleaned up some here. Just, you know, right now I'm just mainly worried about the bulk of it. Just like installing the CPU, you pull up on that little lever right there, click it back, reach down there on the sides, pull your CPU out. Now this is optional. If you have the M.2 drive, you need to take it out. So you undo the screw. Just like so, bounces up. You pull it out of the slot. All right, guys, now you take the new motherboard, get it out of its bag. And it's just like when you build a new system. Lay it on top of the motherboard box. Put the bag to the side. Okay, we'll start with the CPU installation here. You take your little lever, pull it to the side, lift up on it, opens up the socket. Take your CPU, find the little gold triangle right there on the edge of it. And right up here should be a triangle as well, right there. Line up them triangles. And you set it down in there. Just like so, give it a little wiggle, make sure it's in there good. Lower the retention arm, clip it down. Now, since the CPU's installed, and we're going to be using the stock heatsink, we got to remove these two brackets right here. Pull the two brackets off. Alright, now we're going to have to put some thermal paste on this, because we've done used the heatsink. And the thermal paste I'm going to be using, which I always use, is the MX4 from Arctic. Gonna put a gob right here in the middle. Just like so. I want to just take it and spread it out here. Just need a nice little thin coat. There we go, just like so. I'm gonna take the heat sink here. I'm gonna set it right down here, down on this way. I'm gonna set the heat sink down on there. I'm gonna put this way, that way it don't interfere with the RAM. You want a couple turns on each side here, just enough to get them started. You don't want to tighten down one side before the other side's started. There we go. Then you want to go back and just a couple turns on each corner too. We want to make sure you get even pressure on it. There we go. Alright guys, since we've got the heat sink on now, right up here is the CPU fan header. It only goes on one way. You match up your notches. And you push it down on. Okay guys, next we're going to do the RAM. Right up here's your little diagram. It says it's B1, B2, A1, and A2. And it's got little stores besides B2 and A2. So that's going to be the first ones they want us to install. So which is going to be the gray ones. We're just going to clip the one side open. Going to line your RAM up.
Just like so. One thumb on each corner. Push them down until they click. Then you do your second RAM stick the same way. There we go. They clicked in on all four of them. Maybe I should have done this before I did the heatsink to get you guys a better view of it. But we're going to be installing the M.2. And these take a #1 Phillips compared to the #2 Phillips. Takes a lot smaller screwdriver to do these. Same thing that you need for the M.2 screw itself. Take the 2 screws out. Just like so. The heatsink should come up off, just like so. There we go. And now here's the M.2 connector. You get your motherboard box, you pull out the standoff and the screw for your M.2. And they're also labeled on the motherboard right there, 2280. So I'm going to take it and put the standoff down in there. There we go. Then you take your M.2 drive here, slide down into the slot, just like so. And it acts like a little springboard. And highly recommended a magnetized tip. Make sure your screwdriver is magnetized for this. You hold it down, you put the screw in. Just like so. And that is a 1 terabyte NVMe hard drive installed. And before you put the heatsink back on, you want to make sure you remove this little piece of plastic here. There you go, make sure you remove that little piece of plastic off of it. That'll help with getting rid of that heat. You just lay this back down on here. Like so. And you put your screws back into it. Same screws that came out, same location. Just putting it back together at this point. And there you go. Now your motherboard is prepped. Alright guys, since we're going from micro ATX to an ATX motherboard, we'll have to do some standoff changing around here. And since you did save all the screws and all of that for your case, you should have this handy. You can use this little thing right here that comes included with cases to remove motherboard standoffs and to put them in. Me, I have a dedicated screwdriver here with a socket on it that fits them. And the micro ATX board took one here, took one here. Well, now since we're going to ATX, we need one here, 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 and here. And we don't have them in there, so we're going to have to add them. These two here, I'm just going to loosen them up, take them out, and move them down. Then I went in and got 3 more of them here, right there. There's 3 more standoffs there that's going to go into the motherboard. So let me get this done here, and we'll be back. Alright guys, now since we got the standoffs in there, we're going to do like I always do. If you've seen any of my other build videos, pretty well that's what this is rebuilding a computer. We're going to line it up here. I'm going to look down the holes and make sure each hole has a standoff. Okay, count them: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Should only be 9. Every one's got a standoff underneath of them. Then you count how many standoffs you have in your case. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So we know the standoffs is in the right position. You want to make sure when you do your standoffs that you don't put one where there ain't supposed to be one. That way you don't fry your motherboard when you go to power on your system. Alright guys, now since we got the standoffs where we need them, we're going to be installing the I/O shield. The PS2 port goes towards the top, the audio ports go towards the bottom of the case. You put it right back here in the rectangle. And you push in on the sides of it until it pops in. It's friction fit, no screws or nothing like that to hold it in. Sounds like it all went in. I always like to flip mine up and make sure it went in all the way. There we go. Just like so. Now the I/O shield's installed. Now with the I/O shield installed, you take your motherboard, put it down here on the angle, and you slide it in the spot. And this is a pretty nice case. It's got the standoff here in the middle that's got a little lip on it that actually catches the motherboard and holds it in the spot for you. Just like so. And now we're going to check and make sure the holes is lined up right. The holes is all lined up nice. So now we can screw the motherboard back in. And it don't matter where you start out with these, but I always just give mine a few turns on each screw just to get them started. You don't want to tighten them down yet, because you may have to wiggle the motherboard to get another one lined up right. Alright, now since we got them all started, we'll just go around and tighten them down. And you don't need these real tight, just snug. They're just holding the motherboard in place. It ain't like you're sealing against water or air or nothing like that. Alright guys, now with all that being done, with the motherboard being screwed in, now we can connect all our wires back up. We're going to start out with up here. Right here in this corner is the 8-pin CPU power connector. The little clips on the outside. So you turn the wire around here. And of course, since it was hooked up to the other motherboard so long, it's going to be a little bit of a pain to get to. Hopefully you can see what's going on. You can probably see it better than I can in the video. Like that, line them up, push them down into it clicks. Just like that, and that's the 8-pin CPU connected. Right over here is the 24-pin. Clips on the outside. There's the 24-pin from the power supply. Bend it around here. Line her up. Maybe. Just like so, push it down on until she clips. Right here's my SATA for my 3 terabyte hard drive. Right here's my SATA ports. They're at the right angles. And since we got the M.2 in there, it cancels out one, so we need to put in at least 2. So we're gonna flip it around there and push it in there, just like so. We want to do the front pin connectors. That's your reset button, power switch, LED switch, and LED power. And they go right here on these pins. And it's pretty common layout. I had to pull out the guide or the owner's manual to see what was what because I couldn't read the small print on the motherboard. But you start with the pins furthest to the left. And it's your typical layout, HDD, LEDs on bottom with the positive to the right. Above that we got the power LED with the positive to the left. I'm sorry, positive goes to the left. Then right beside that on top's the power switch, and right underneath that's the reset switch. So let me get them plugged in here. Right here beside them, that's the chassis fans. So I'm going to plug in my 2 front fans on my chassis, on the case. And they got a little notch on them right here. There's a little notch on the connector they slip into, that way you can't get them wrong. Okay, there's them plugged in. Then you have your USB 3, which is right here. It only plugs in one way because that little notch on the top. So we want to plug him in. That way I got USB 3 on the front. Okay. Alright guys, just like my USB for my drive, I'm going to have to run this across the front of it because the cable don't have enough length in it. Which I never use it anyways. But if you look at the pins, it's got one blocked out pin. You got one pin missing in the connector, that way you can't put it in the wrong connector. I don't even know if that's even going to reach or not. You're going to take it, slide it right down over top of the pins, just like so. There's your front audio hooked up. Right there guys is my USB for my front USB. Be able to use my front USB on the case. And now here's your two USB connectors. Right here you can tell where the pin's knocked out on them and the pin's knocked out on the connector. Just take it and slide it right over top of them. Slide them down in there. Just like so. Now here comes the one for the card reader. It's also a USB 2. Got the same pin blocked off on it. Spin it up there and push it down. Last thing we got to do is put in the graphics card, which we're going to use this top 16x3 slot here for the graphics card. I'm going to take and line up this connector here on the graphics card with the slot. Just like so. Make sure our retention clip's opened up and slide it down in. Just like so, and you should hear a click. Make sure the last is up. Okay, it's locked in there. Put your two thumb screws back in. Just like so. Then you take and plug your GPU back in with the PCI Express cables here. There we go, just like so. Alright guys, to finish up the job, you slide on your back panel. Tighten down the thumb screws. And you know, it's an old superstition that you shouldn't put on both side panels until you test boot the system. But I believe everything's going to be alright. Put your front panel back on here. Slide it back on, put your thumb screws back in, and you hook her up and make sure she boots. Alright guys, let's boot this thing up now since it's got hooked back up here and see if the motherboard swap actually worked or not. Turn on the power supply. Hit the power button. Looky there, Asus in search of incredibility. And it's telling me that some of the stuff has changed. New CPU installed. Please enter setup to configure your system. Press F1 for setup. Gonna hit F1. Gonna take us into the BIOS, F10. That saves and exits. And make sure it boots into Windows. And it looks like it's going into Windows. And there it is at the desktop.
Alright guys, and that's the way you replace or swap out or upgrade your motherboard in your system. It is a pretty big task. You know, like I said, it's almost like a new system build. You have to pretty well rebuild your system off your old motherboard on your new motherboard to get it installed. Well, I hope you guys found this a little bit useful, a little bit informative, or at least entertaining, one way or the other. That's going to do for today's video, guys. Give me a thumbs up if you like this video, thumbs down if you don't like this video. There's that comment section below. I'll go through them every weekend on my live stream, Saturday morning, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time here in the U.S. Make sure you hit that little lonely subscribe button down there, turn that notification bell on if you'd like to be notified next time I put out a video or I go live here on YouTube. And also, there's links down there for Instagram and Twitter. I don't post a whole lot to it. Every once in a while, I'll post pictures of stuff that's coming in here that I'm going to be doing videos on. Sometimes I'll give you a preview where you can go view the videos before they go live on YouTube. You know, so I ain't going to kill your inbox, but that's also down there down there below as well. With all that being said, you all have a good day, and I'll see you in the next video or live